Well, what are your thoughts on emulating games?
Love it. I own them all. So
Nailed it.
So I mean, I think that owning them is a great thing, but so I don't feel that bad. But it's just so convenient, and it's a dream of mine since I was a kid to have everything and all in like a list, and you just click on the one you want to play, and there's like boop, and there it is.
Yeah, you and I talked a little bit about this before. So I have this feeling that I play less games when I emulate them.
That can be very true.
It's a weird phenomenon.
It can be.
Like, I rarely push through difficulty spikes when it's an emulated game. There's something about actually paying physical money for that I've worked hard for. Paying that money and then playing the game. Whereas, like, if I'm emulating the game, I rarely actually push through.
I think it's also, you have a tangible thing. You have a game.
Yeah.
And you're playing the game instead of just some thing floating in the air. And you're always, when you're playing emulation, you're always thinking, well, I'll stop this for now and come back to it. There's a whole nother list of games. Let's go through it. And sometimes I end up playing none of them, you know?
Yeah. Well, and also, if you have a bug in your game that you downloaded or something like that, and you get 20 hours in and it crashes on you, you're fucked. Like, you got to do all that again. You can't. There's no way to like save it. There's nothing you can do to take that data and transition it to another file.
And there's bad emulation. Like I said, I've tried playing emulation PlayStation or Nintendo 64 games, and even though they're really smooth, like smoother than, they look better than the actual game, because they're like just so clear, and the frame rate is better, but the control is different. Even though you can get these controllers and stuff, it's different. You'd have to. And you'll have to get a certain controller, and you're playing it on a computer or something. There's different ways to go around it, but sometimes you lose some of it.
Yeah.
Because I've had handheld, there's PSP hacking and stuff, and it just doesn't feel the same. It's like you don't have the same Banjo-Kazooie. It didn't have the same feel of hitting the Z and then A and then doing the jump.
Well, I think too. There's. I think one of the positives though of emulating games is that I will emulate a game and say, I want to buy this thing. Like, I'll put 4 or 5 hours in, and I'll say, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and find a copy of this game, unless it's extremely expensive, which can happen, and at least then you do get a chance to experience the game without coughing up $100 or more. But yeah, it's a really Wild West scenario with a lot of it.
It is. And that's why emulation of older games works really well. Like when I hacked the Wii, or when my friend hacked the Wii. My friend, I've got there's a friend, and he's the one who hacked his Wii. Yeah, me.
Well,
it's you can play the old games, and it feels just like the old games. Like, it feels great.
Well, and I think too, if these games, it's so weird because video games are just such a weird medium, because it's not like comic books where you're never going to have compatibility issues with opening the comic book and it being on paper, right?
Exactly.
In video games, there are so many compatibility issues that arise that I really wonder, in the next 15, 20 years, if there won't be a platform where you can just play games, like a Netflix of games. Because to me right now, it's in such a weird place. Like, if you want to play TurboGrafx games, buckle up. You're going to need $100 a pop for each game, like in many instances. So why isn't there? So then your other option is emulation, but then that experience is not very good, and so
it can be for an older game,
But still, you're rolling the dice no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that you have all these licenses for these great games and yet you don't have any means of actually pushing it out and getting it to people? I think it's a really weird problem that we need to overcome.
Yeah.
Because and like the NES Classic Edition, that should have garnered multiple generations of those, right? You could have had 4 or 5 generations of NES Classic Editions, Volume 1 through, And
it had great lineup.
That's what I'm saying. So, you know how like there's like, now this is what I call music? I think we need a now this is what I call video games.
Yeah,
like,
Volume 83.
Now this is what I call PS2.
Yeah.
Like, because it's true. There's so many good games and they're so expensive. And I'm not saying that video games are a cheap hobby and it should be, but I am saying like, how do you make this stuff available?
I wish there was a way, like, let's say there's a movie that you really want to see, but it's not released in America. It's like, well, how am I going to see this movie? It's like, I think that breaking the law in that case should be fine,
but eventually
because
you
it's
can
no
get,
fair. It's art.
Eventually you can get the copy though. Like eventually there will be a translation, or you can go into fan subs.
Maybe. Yeah, but you have to find it.
And you have to work
illegally.
At it. You can work at it. Well, the subs aren't illegal. And so if you just rip the DVD, then you could still put the subs in and it would line up, right?
Yeah, God, I mean, I don't even know how to do that.
Oh, it's not that hard.
Yeah, but most people don't know how to do that.
There's still no equivalent for video games. That's what I'm saying. You really have no options. It's either emulate or pay.
I want to play Ni no Kuni on the DS. The DS version.
Yeah, okay.
It's never been
released.
Right, it's never been translated.
Yeah, it hasn't been localized.
Fans are trying to translate. Like Mother 3, Earthbound 3 or whatever.
Right.
Mother 3 is one of my favorite games ever, and it was translated really well by fans.
Yeah.
But it's still, Nintendo still hasn't released it in America, and it's like, well, I don't feel bad at all. Because this is a work of art, and it deserves to be in the hands of the people.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there is a lot of that where, and here again, the one thing that I come back to a lot is like, if you want to read a book, you just got to translate it and that's it. If you want to...
Well, a friend of mine says that the translation of Solaris is like terrible. From Russian to English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure, but you can get some degree of it. Like, you can get some degree of impression. Like, the problem with video games to me is that the wall is just, the barrier is so thick, you know? And how do we overcome that, like, as a medium? Because here again, when people want to talk about, oh, video games are art and people don't get it, well, you're not really making it easy. The reason why people are really like hard up on comic books right now is because A, they have great authors, that's true, and great artists, that's also true, but also they can open the fucking book. Like
I mean, it's that simple.
How do we open it, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's
and sometimes people don't know where to start though, and it's kind of it's kind of like the Wild West out there. Yeah.
I got into playing fan translations there for a while. And I actually was very impressed by the amount of work people put into it. It's extremely
really
impressive.
Yeah.
It's very, very impressive. And
keep doing the good work.
Yeah, I think they're absolutely doing a service. I mean, because if you don't speak Japanese or whatever, how are you going to ever play this game? You're not. Speaking of heavily localized games, Yakuza Kiwami got a release date.
And what is that?
It's a remake of the original game.
Okay.
And there's a couple of things that are really cool about it. It's going to come out for, guess the price?
$39.99.
$29.
Ooh,
pretty good price.
Hello,
pretty good price.
And
they are not. So the original Yakuza was actually done with a voiced English dub.
Oh yeah, I did read this.
And they're not gonna include it.
They redid it.
Yeah, they've completely redone all the voices,
which is good because there's been some early dubs back in the 90s and early 2000s. That was just terrible.
I agree. Well, actually, I do enjoy that cheese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm very excited about it. Anyway, so if you're out there, Yakuza Kiwami is a remake of the original game. And so it'll be out soon.
Cool.
And I'm super jazzed about it. I'm super jazzed. So,
jazzed up.
Jazz fingers.
Yeah. J on the B.